Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I think I say this at almost the beginning of every show. You're really going to love this one. Chances are I don't really know if you're going to love it, but I love it because I get to talk to my neighbor. That's right. You heard it first. I'm talking to my neighbor. She is right next door to me. We are on Zoom, and this will probably be the longest conversation we have been able to have. Why, you ask, or not ask? She has 2 children. And she was a teacher. And today, and you know, I run 2 businesses, and I usually am not leaving this computer. So I'm very happy to talk to Casey Meloy. Casey Meloy, introduce yourself. Tell everybody hello.
Hello, everybody. It is great to be here, neighbor. And yes, I can't believe we haven't done this before. And like we were saying earlier, we definitely should do it over coffee.
Yes, we should definitely do it over coffee. And I know that when me and you start talking, it doesn't end. But in the 6 years that I've been here, I'm pretty sure it's been 6 times that we've spoken.
Probably.
That doesn't mean that I don't have a great love.
You know, hey, neighbor.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. You get to see Rob is way more social than me. I will admit it right here. Everybody thinks I'm the social butterfly. I'm not. I stay in my bubble and I don't go because of what I have to do for a living with doctors. Anyway, I digress. Casey?
Yes.
I texted you yesterday and I said, can I have you on the show? And I'm sure you were scared, which I
was like,
right, what? But I will tell you that there is, so Rob Feckety, way more social than me, knows all the neighbors, all their names, all their dogs' names, all the kids, how old they are and everything. Me, not so much, but I do know the Meloys, so much so that I named my cat Molly Meloy.
Oh, my favorite little black cat. Yes.
He is, I say hey because of Wayla. She is a love, and she used to hide out in the Meloys' backyard when we first got her.
She did.
Sure. Here we are. And of course, I had on 2 pediatricians last week. One you know very well, Dr. Greg Sabel. Yep. The other is a new friend of mine, Dr. Regina. She's fantastic. And the great perspectives that I got to get from them of what it's like with the kiddos going back to school from a pediatrician's perspective, but who better to talk to than a teacher? So I'm going to read Casey's bio, and I've never done this in all 75 episodes. I've never read anybody's bio, but I think you all need to hear it. Casey Meloy is a former teacher with 18 plus years of experience in public education. Girl, that in of itself, I should stop. She has worked in elementary, middle, and high schools doing face-to-face teaching and 6 years of virtual teaching for FLVS. Casey was a powerful force in the workplace and used her positive attitude, and trust me when I tell you, she's positive Patty, and tireless energy, yes, she has 2 young girls, to encourage others to work hard and succeed. Casey was recognized in 2010 as a top 35 virtual teacher for FLVS, and in 2014 was awarded Virtual Teacher of the Year for her school. I live next to a baller. Okay, she took on the role of gifted coordinator at a local charter school, and in 2019, her 6th grade gifted students were recognized by our very own Largo Mayor, Woody Brown.
Correct.
For their work on sustainability design for national competition Future City. You know, it's tough. It's a lot of pressure when you're reading in front of a teacher. Recently,
you're doing great.
You're welcome. Recently, she has taken on the role of stay-at-home mom to facilitate virtual learning for her 2 girls, 5th and 7th grade. Casey is inspired daily by her husband, Jeff, and their 2 daughters. In her free time, Casey works on her novel, which has been a work in progress for 6 years. Her goal is to finish it sometime in the next century.
Correct. All true.
You know, even reading that, I got a little teary-eyed because Rob came home, of course, in the neighborhood, knowing all the business of everybody. He was like, Casey's not going back to school and she's going to virtually train. And I was like, what?
I know.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. It was by far the hardest decision I think I have ever made to leave my career, of 18 years and a job at a school where I thought I would for sure be retiring from, giving up, that retirement system, not giving it up, but putting it on pause so that, we could keep the kids home. And that I could kind of facilitate this virtual learning. So yeah, big decision, agonized over it for weeks, but once it was made, I was kind of like, okay, now I can move forward. I can push on, I can make my plan, and I can keep going.
So Casey is that mother of the year type, right? Like that I am not. I'm stepmom, so I get stepmom of the year, maybe not so much, but Cooper, when he was young, he used to go next door for like pancakes that were made out of like, I don't know, Minnie Mouse or something. And he would come home and brag about Casey for hours.
Oh, I just remember he liked his egg sunny side up, and I had never cooked a sunny side up egg before. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I only know how to make scrambled. So I YouTube videoed it. And I was like, oh, it's a lot easier than I thought. You just let it sit in the pan and then scoop it out and put it on the plate.
See, that she's so resourceful because she's a teacher. And she's one of those crafty moms and teachers because like she has taught life lessons to the kids. I'm watching her on Facebook teach life lessons to the kids like this. For all of you listening to the podcast, I was like, this is what the world needs. The world needs to teach these kids life lessons. So I want to just kind of give you this opportunity to just talk about, because I want to know. I mean, selfishly, everybody I've interviewed, it's because of my extreme curiosity.
I love that.
What it was that got you to this place, because I know how much you love teaching. I have watched you. I mean, you take your kids to like softball and 20 different worlds. I don't know what's happening next door, but there's a lot of action going on. Such an active mom and an active teacher. What led up to this decision besides the obvious, but let's talk about the obvious.
So the obvious in the room is, going back to school and teaching in the middle of a pandemic. And, the past 18 years when you kind of give it your all, and by that, I mean, your lesson planning after hours and you're outfitting your own classroom with your own money. These are all things that teachers on an everyday basis do. The idea of doing all of that, social emotional needs of students on top of the pandemic, plus trying to keep my own children engaged. It just kind of came to a head where I was like, I cannot be pulled in any more directions. I just feel like at this point, I needed to focus on the kids. We didn't want to send them back the first 9 weeks. We are virtual the first 9 weeks. We're utilizing the My PCS virtual option that Pinellas County Schools has put out. I have been pleasantly surprised. This is day 2. And I can tell you that hands down, my youngest daughter, Claire, she's in 5th grade, and her teacher, slam dunk, just amazing from the get-go. Never having any virtual experience before, was just amazing yesterday. This is day 2. And now my daughter Lily's in middle school, and she has 7 different teachers all trying to get on doing, live. It's basically Zoom, what they're utilizing. They're utilizing Microsoft Teams, but 7 different teachers. And my hat goes off to them because they're simultaneously teaching. So they've got like 15 kids in front of them in their classroom, and then they've got 10 to 15 online, and they're trying to teach both at the same time. So hats off to the middle school teachers at my daughter's school, because they are incredible trying to just keep up with both of that.
Was that your daughter?
She is. Yes. She's telling me she can't get on. You can't get on to the internet?
No, it's just...
Okay, well, come out here and sit over there closer to the modem.
This is real life, everybody. This is what happens when you are in Zoom world. And that's what we're in. And she has kids. And she has like to teach them and everything.
Well, thankfully I don't really have to teach. It's more like monitoring. That's that's the beauty of utilizing this My PCS, is that I'm really more of a home monitor. I took a picture of myself in the hallway yesterday and I was like, look, I'm a home monitor.
I love it. So I know that so many people were let me see.
She is waiting for somebody to let her into her meeting right now.
Oh, I see. Wow.
So I'm going to just tell you that it looks like I would log out and log back in and try it. I tried. It didn't work. Okay, well then.
So, all right, everybody, we paused and now we're back because real life was happening. Casey's daughter is in school. Both of them are in school. And, there was a waiting room issue. And God bless all of the teachers today. I can't even imagine what it's like. So I'll tell you from my own personal experience, Cooper goes to a different school than the girls.
Yeah.
He goes to a private school. So he started last week, Pinellas County, Hillsborough County, starting this week. Right. So it was all, the posting all over the place, kids going back to school, they're wearing masks. We're in the twilight zone. We all know this. We don't need to, talk about it anymore. Social distancing and it's almost like, okay, no, this is normal for now.
Normal. This is our normal.
This is it. This is what's happening. So we have to accept it. We have to move forward. Right. So you decided to keep the kiddos home and do the virtual, and then depending upon what happens, you will consider sending them back or keeping them home. Is that correct?
That is correct. If it were up to Lily, she would be at school right now. She's pretty upset that she's not with her friends. She was taking notes yesterday and writing down all of the friends that were in her classes that she doesn't get to see because she's not there. Mm-hmm. So for her, I think socially, middle school, mm-hmm. they're much more social students, middle and high school. And I think for her, it might benefit her to go back. If it's safe, if the numbers are, okay. Mm-hmm. The little one, she doesn't really care. She's so go with Fortnite. She's like, whatever.
As long as I can go outside and pick up a few bugs every once in a while and climb a tree, I'm good.
Yeah. She was in the tree yesterday, like on her recess break. She was in the tree. Oh, and here she is.
Hi, neighbor. The most beautiful and lovely Claire has just walked in the door, and she's going to dance. Oh, perfect.
Doing a dance.
I love it. Too bad they couldn't see that on the podcast, but you could see it on Facebook.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your, I know it was a very difficult decision for you to not go back to school, but what was it that kind of broke the straw?
I think for Jeff and I, we just didn't want our kids to be the guinea pigs going back. And they're nothing against public education. I have friends that are private school teachers, and they were discussing all these amazing things that were going on, the different types of cleaning that was going on. And I know, Pinellas County Schools was doing that as well. But just knowing that, there was this big giant bubble of uncertainty, we were both just kind of like, let's just keep them home the first 9 weeks. And obviously one of us had to be home with them. He makes more money than I do. So that kind of was, imagine that.
Yeah.
Right.
Teacher salaries and taking care of the whole household. Amazing.
Yep. So that was kind of the determining factor was really just the belief that him and I wanted to just see where the numbers were going to go. Nobody knows how COVID is going to affect kids. There's so much uncertainty. And so I think just the issue of uncertainty for us, that was really kind of the straw that broke the camel's back.
Gotcha. So I will say now that from the time Cooper went into kindergarten, I would go into the school. I would meet the teacher. I'm Sharon, I'm stepmom. His mom is, Tammy, and we have a very cohesive relationship, but I want to make sure that we get the homework 50% of the time. So when I say that, I'm thinking about all of the things that teachers have to do without a pandemic. And I would leave Cooper in school and celebrate. because I did not have to manage the chaos of all of those children at the same time.
Right.
All day.
Right. Right.
And you have to teach them. And, you know, I know that there are, and I will say it myself, I know I don't want you to say something. I know there is a lot of ignorant people out there dropping their kids off thinking that you are responsible for like raising them. That's not actually the case. So you are there to educate these children.
Correct.
And I know you and I had a very strong conversation, probably our last conversation, about how, you know, you went and had to get trained to protect the kids now from potentially being shot.
Correct. Yeah, so I took I think it was a 4-hour training with Largo Police Department. This is when I worked at the charter school. That was one of their requirements. And we spent 4 hours learning how to, you know, take down an active assailant that entered our room with a gun. And we learned how to barricade the door with common classroom furniture, and how to take off our belts and, you know, put it around a door handle in case the lock was breached. We learned about line of sight and how to hide our students in the most advantageous spot, you know, so that a stray bullet or an assailant that comes by, you know, can't see them. So yeah, that times have changed quite a bit. And so that is just one thing, you know, that we've had to do over the years. And I don't know a teacher, you know, that wouldn't put themselves in front of their students to keep them safe. So it's just one more thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was bad enough because, you know, I remember being upset about that myself, and I did get involved with the city of Largo, and I asked Officer Tran to do yes, to do something for us, you know, something that when a school might not be providing that education, which I think is very important, that at least, you know, I would feel good about my stepson knowing what to do if somebody came in with a shotgun or a rifle or whatever. I'm very uneducated about guns for many reasons that I hope are obvious, right? Yeah. So then there's no budget. There's no opportunity for you guys to purchase the supplies that are actually needed to run a classroom in 2020 and now the pandemic. So I have been, well, I'm just like, can I just say thank you?
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for being thankful, because I know there are many parents out there that don't realize what teachers do on a daily basis. And so it's nice to hear a thank you from the community. And, you know, I've worked at very affluent schools where money isn't an issue. There are teachers, you know, that work in poverty level schools where they truly are, you know, spending their hard-earned money outfitting books and supplies. And it's not that the school doesn't give them money. We are given a budget. We have a $250 budget, you know, that we can spend on classroom supplies, but that doesn't go very far, especially when my own children's back to school supply list each was like $120. So when you think about $120 for each one of my children, that's $240, and, you know, we're given $250 to outfit an entire classroom for the year. That money goes pretty quickly.
Oh, Jesus. How do I feel about that? Oh, I'm going to take a breath. Casey.
Yes.
What can we do to help the community help teachers right now? Because I know even though you might not be in the classroom today and tomorrow, I know that your heart is with these teachers. What can we tell? I just got chills actually asking.
You know what? It's almost like survivor's guilt. I'm out. I'm okay. But I know that they are in the thick of it. And I have so many friends that are still there. And you know, they don't have the option that I had, which was to take that leave, or I resigned. But yeah, they're in the thick of it. And I'm on a couple Facebook groups, and, you know, a lot of them are needing hand sanitizer, and just, you know, the county is providing hand sanitizer and an organic disinfecting spray and a rag to wipe down the desks with. But, you know, that's going to go pretty quickly.
So we can donate.
Yeah, so donating, if you come across some Lysol wipes at Walmart and you're allowed to pick up 2, take one down to your local school and just drop it off in the front office, because they are, I can hear my child. Do you hear that over there? She's playing Fortnite. Hey, Claire. Yeah? Can you take your Fortnite into the room, please?
And you had a bunch of these people in a classroom at one time. So it might be more difficult with Claire. But she is a rambunctious one, and we love that girl.
Is Spitfire, this one right here. Yeah, Mom, no problem. I think we already had this conversation. Like, you need to make sure you're in your room while Mom's on her meeting. You can see how long that lasted.
I wonder if there'll be a conversation after the meeting.
There'll be a life lesson for sure.
Please put it online. So the other thing, you know, and one of the many reasons I started the show, one of the reasons I started doing this was just because I had this great network of healers. I was never calling them doctors. Yes, I am doctor whisperer. I work with doctors. I also have a media company. But I knew that we needed to have some real conversations. And we also needed a lot of healing.
Yes.
Because we are all, you know, the bullshit, we're all in this together. We are all in crazy town together.
Oh, yes.
On a boat with no sail.
And sometimes the oars work and sometimes they don't.
Right. So one of the main objectives was to think about how everybody is dealing with their own mental wellness throughout this as well.
Yes.
Because the doctors, we always have conversations about the healers getting healed. Same with therapists, same with psychiatrists. They can't help their community if they're not getting help themselves.
Right.
What is it like for teachers? I mean, I really don't know. I'm asking this because I'm dead curious as to, I'm sure you guys have really great happy hours together, maybe virtual right now. But how do you guys do this? Do they provide you with a therapist?
So I can tell you, prior to making my decision to, you know, step away from teaching, I think I have never been so
pausing
away from teaching.
Yes. What happened?
Right before I decided to step away from teaching, I was so anxious. I've probably never been that anxious in my life. You know, just the idea of going back teaching face-to-face during this pandemic. You know, I don't know if you've ever been in a classroom, but, you know, those little kids, they come up to you with their little snot noses and they're sneezing in your face. Right before I left in March for spring break, I had a 5th grader come up to me and she's like, "Miss Meloy, my head hurts." And I'm like, "Oh, let me feel ya." She came back with 103 fever, and her dad had sent her to school that morning, gave her an Advil, knew she was sick, and sent her. So the anxiety of teaching in that type of environment where you have parents that are going to send their kids sick, plus, you know, the idea of the digital learning and having to teach face-to-face and with kids online, it was a lot to handle. And for me, I contemplated calling my primary care doctor up and saying, "Hey, you know, I'm going to need a Xanax or 2 to get through this school year." But what I ended up doing, obviously, was making that decision to step away. Now, the teachers that are still there, you know, I know a lot of them are feeling the same pressure. You know, they're learning this new digital platform, all the while trying to balance, you know, family and home, teaching online, teaching with kids in front of you, and the idea of getting sick and, you know, being out for, you know, who knows how long. So you don't have to answer me if you don't want to. Okay.
You know, being a teacher in a school is a business.
Correct.
Are they providing some type of candid conversation about how to deal with the anxiety as a company? I'm not looking at it as a school. I'm looking at it as a company, because, you know, right before the pandemic hit, right before it, I spoke at Franklin Templeton about mental health because I wrote a book about it. And,
Yes.
and being somebody who's been the boss for many, many, many years to a lot of staff, because I have the background that I have, with my own personal experience,
Correct.
it was very easy for me to see when somebody had anxiety and was stressed. And we would have, you know, what I like to call a little coming to Jesus in Sharon's office. And somebody could then, you know, just unleash, tell me how they felt.
Right.
And so we could come up with some kind of an action plan as to how we're going to get through this.
Right.
Is that something that is recognizable within the school systems, you think?
So I think the school that I was at, I had an amazing principal, very open door policy. If you had any type of an issue, you could go and talk to her. Pinellas County does have mental health, I want to, not facilities, but I know that it's part of our health insurance. If you feel like you need to go and talk to somebody, I believe it is covered. I don't know how much of it would be covered, but I know the first initial, you know, first couple of meetings I'm assuming is covered. I never had to utilize that, but I do know that they have that in place. And principals do a really good job. Principals and assistant principals do a really good job of saying, you know, take the time, you know, if you need to take a day, take a day. But again, that's school by school. You know, some schools have principals that are more open to mental health. And then obviously, you know, I've worked for the complete opposite, not in the public school, but at charter school where, you know, mental health was basically thrown out the window. So
I'm really concerned.
I am too.
I mean, that's why I was so proud of you, because you took your own mental health and you took your own family and you took the reins back as a woman who understands how important it is that you can navigate through this pandemic the way you need to.
Right.
And it's not, that decision and that choice is not there for everybody, as we've mentioned before.
Right.
So I'm putting a little, you know, push out to anybody that might be watching or listening, that if you do have these benefits that Casey mentioned, you know, this is the time, you know, this is, because I'm just thinking about all those parents that are going to be blaming the teachers when the kid gets sick or when the mask isn't worn, or it's just too much.
It is too much. I listened on one of Lily's classes yesterday, and the teacher, you know, had her mask on, and I would say every 2 to 3 minutes, now this is a 7th grader, so we're not even talking about a little one. Put your mask back on. A couple minutes goes by, she's teaching, I told you to put your mask back on. And you're just like, oh my gosh, this is a 7th grade kid being told repeatedly to put his mask back on.
You're going to be going to detention for not wearing a mask.
Right.
What?
So, anxiety is high. You know, there's that huge level of uncertainty. Just learning the new canvas that they're using, just learning this new digital platform is enough to put somebody over the edge, let alone, you know, trying to do it within this pandemic setting. So yeah, teachers need a lot of support right now. Well, I mean, everybody needs a lot of support, but I'm worried. Mental health wise, I'm worried. Mm-hmm.
You know, and going through these waves, because I started doing this at the beginning of March, and I had doctors that were in the ERs, and I have doctors in New York that were, when New York was really bad. So I've gone through all of these waves of what everybody is going through, and the, you know, the next crisis, which is already a crisis, of course, is the mental health crisis. So I guess I want to be able to share that I hope everybody talks to somebody.
Yes.
They're not alone, right? I mean, Casey,
correct.
All teachers are feeling this right now.
Yes.
And you need to talk about it.
Yes, they're overwhelmed for sure. They have been for years, and then you just add this, you know, pandemic and all of the ramifications and all of the guidelines and safety protocols, and you know, you just add that on to everything that they were already dealing with, and it's a lot. It's overwhelming for sure.
So to whoever is listening or watching, You know how there's like a teacher's week? Well, it's like it's the year of the teacher.
Wouldn't that be nice? The year of the teacher.
Wouldn't that be nice? Because, you know, and even the doctors, they went through where they were celebrated and then people were pissed at them. Like
Yes.
it's very difficult to know even who to honor anymore because, you know, my husband's a UPS man. We have all of the people at the grocery stores that stayed, you know, essential and stayed employed. Everybody is really going through it right now. So I'm going to personally ask all of you to thank a teacher today.
Please thank a teacher today.
And tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And every time you think it's a good idea to complain to a teacher, I'm going to ask you to think about this episode today.
Yeah. Show a little bit of kindness, a little compassion, a little flexibility, a little gratitude, and just know that they are doing the best that they can with the tools that they have been given, because not all of them have been given equal tools. That's the other thing. You know, nothing is, I know they strive for equity and they strive to have, you know, equal things at the schools, but, you know, schools have gaps, and that's been the biggest issue as well. You know, that's part of the anxiety of it all, is you've got kids that don't have laptops in front of them in one part of the county and then kids that do have in another. So,
and they don't have food.
Right.
There's a tremendous amount of issues that we're not going to resolve during this episode.
No, and teachers cannot do it all. School systems cannot do it all. It's, you know, at some point you have to say, okay, when are the parents going to be held accountable? Teachers have been held accountable for years, but when does it finally fall back on the parents to do all of it again?
I'm going to do something nice for Cooper's teachers.
Yes, do it. I think
I'm going to ask Casey what I should do. So I'm not going to say what it is, because I don't want, you know, I'm certainly not going to like make something and drop it off and then be like, oh, thank you so much. It probably have something to do with alcohol. I'm kidding. I'm not. Like dinner, you know, like can the teachers all get together and go out together? Can we throw them a party with social distancing involved? Maybe just getting a personal shot. But Casey,
I had a parent one year, every morning he would bring 6 coffees to Carline and he would hand them out to the teachers in Carline. It was amazing. I mean, I know that cost him $6 a day because they were McDonald's coffees, but you know what? I got my hot coffee every morning and I was like, yes, I'm starting my day off right. Just the little things.
It's the little things. So let's do the little things for the people that are taking care of your little things.
Yes, I agree.
Good, wasn't it? You like that?
I like that. Let's hashtag that.
Hashtag little things for little things. Casey, thank you so much. I'm super proud of you. I am quite sure that this was the best decision for you and your family and your kiddos. And I'm happy you're next door. Maybe
I know.
Knock on the door.
I've already said to the kids, I'm like, listen, if you need anything and mommy's not here, you go talk to Aunt Sharon. Okay.
I'm always here. Well, most of the time anyway. Thank you so much for everything that you do, everything that you've done, and everything that I'm quite sure you'll continue to do. And I can't wait to read the novel.
Well, yes. Thank you for having me. I now I have lots of time to work on it. So that's going to be my next plan.
I'll be asking about it weekly. Hi, Casey. Thank you.
Sharon. Thank you.
So don't forget, if you mention that you have seen the show or listened to the podcast, Thai Technology, 3 months for free.